just gonna use about half of these, and I'm gonna try and chill these guys if I have room in my fridge. Let me wash up, and then I gotta do a little bit of cleanup here, and we're gonna start cooking. I'm gonna get my pasta water going. We're gonna sear up duck. We're gonna have some entrees here pretty soon. Yeah, we're coming up on 90 minutes. I think I got another half hour on Facebook Live. Hope everybody's doing okay. Let me see what else is going on. Gluten-free. I'll play with the ingredients, find out on the GF. Yeah, sorry, I'm just so not that guy. I just do straight cooking, like back in the day. I can speak to that just ever so slightly, but I'm never comfortable with it. It's not my thing. Okay. I have to say, I was planning on just doing this, kitchen quarantine happy hour on Mondays, but I may need to do another one this week because I have these monster short ribs in there, again from V. Miller Meats, and I want to do those things really bad. They're ready to go, and so I might do another one of these in a day or two. Patricia Smith, hey, how's it going? Another former student, awesome. Okay, I'm going to use my dog knife again and just kind of scrape this up. For the most part, I got a little container in my sink here that I'm scraping into. Boom. And there's most of that flour right there. I'm gonna get that knife wet so it doesn't set up like a piece of cement. Dry off, and then we are going to wipe it on down. What's that? What's that? What's that? What's saying? Let us know, V. Miller, our personal friends. Ooh, you know the Millers, eh? I'm part of the V. Miller family myself. Just, I was saying earlier, I helped those guys get open in their first year. I got laid off, and so jumped in there, and it was like going to camp. We just had a lot of fun in there. It was a blast. And I would go in and try and use up all the little bits and bobs in that place, making, head cheese and hams and bacon and all of that stuff. I have never once represented myself as a butcher, but I have to say I can cut a little bit. I spent, years and years, 10 years in culinary school breaking down hogs and lambs and stuff like that. I probably I have more butchering experience than most grocery store butchers that get in commodity box beef and things like that, but I still just would never call myself a butcher. I like to be a all-around person. It's that hotel thing in me, I think. I really love that idea of knowing every department. I'm just as comfortable in butchering as I am in baking, as I am in hot food, as I am in banquets, on restaurant lines, whatever. I've always just tried to do everything. I'm a general practitioner. Okay, one more wipe down and we're ready to go. Start getting into dinner. Whoa! What are you guys doing? Are you guys back? I think so. Man, I think you guys have had a bit too much falling over like that. I'm still doing fine though. What's this? Something in what way? V. Miller. Oh, I think I just told you. I think I answered your question. Let's see, let's do another one of these and we will get into the next stage. So a couple things I need to do. I need to boil off this gnocchi, which is in the pasta category, I guess, right? I'm gonna boil that off, and it's basically, we're gonna talk about the pasta technique, how to cook pasta. This is what I call the grain, grain technique, the boiling technique for grains. When I teach a grain class, this is one of my vegetarian classes if you wanna call it that, but when I teach a grain class, I teach 5 different methods of cooking grains. It's the boiling method, which you're gonna see today, the steaming method, the absorption method, where you just pour hot liquid over something and the grain will soak it up, right? We use this for bulgur wheat and things like Moroccan couscous and things like that, right? So that's the absorption method. The last 2 are risotto method, which isn't always about rice. I can do risotto with other grains, and the peel-off method, which isn't always about rice. I can use other grains, right? I teach those 5 methods, and you can pretty much handle any grain that comes down the pike, right? And so you're going to see the boiling method today for grains, but it's also for things like grain products and milled grains like cream of wheat and oatmeal and things like that. That's the boiling method. It's the same as the pasta, except you leave out the olive oil or whatever, right? Let me get another one of these and we'll get going. Oh yeah. Happy hour. It's Monday. Monday happy hour. So we're cooking pasta. I had my pasta water at a boil earlier. I'm just going to bring that temp up a little bit, and we're going to get that water boiling again. My nose is itchier than heck. It always happens when my hands are semi-clean. I think I'm going to wash hands again while I got a minute. We should just call this the hand washing show, the quarantine kitchen hand washing show. What are you drinking? I'm drinking Gnarled Head Zinfandel. I have been drinking that myself. I've got this Robert Mondavi Cabernet here that's been aged in bourbon barrels. It's actually kind of tasty, but I will say it needs some food going with it. It's a little strong just to have on its own. Like most big old Cabernets, you know. Need a little something with it. But hey, it's a party. And last thing I'm doing is complaining. All right, so my pasta water's back up to a boil. I am going to pull down a tool. Where did it go? There it is. I know some of my people know what that is right there. This is called a spider. It looks like a spider web, okay? And that's what I'm going to pull my pasta out, or my gnocchi out with. And this gnocchi cooking method here is, or not the method, but just cooking this gnocchi off. This is just stage one. Nobody wants to eat gnocchi just boiled, right? And so what we'll do is we'll boil this off, set it aside, and then later on we're going to get a little sear on it. So it gives it a little texture and a little more flavor to it and everything. That beautiful golden brown gnocchi crust is awesome. So we're going to get a little of that, but we do need to blanch them off first, or cook them off. So we're going to do that. I've got my boiling water here. I think I'll move it a little closer. And while this goes, we will talk about the boiling method for grains. Okay, it's actually probably the simplest grain method there is. Lots and lots of boiling salted water. I tend to recommend a ratio of water, 1 gallon of water for a pound of pasta, or if I'm blanching green beans or something, a gallon of water for green beans. And the idea here is I want lots and lots of boiling water so when I drop in these cold little gnocchis, my boil doesn't really stop. Ideally, I want that water as hot as possible so that heat can drive the moisture into those gnocchis, and it can kind of cook through and through, right? So I want to get this water boiling, and I want lots of water so I don't lose that boil when I drop the gnocchi in, okay? So I got a little handful, and I'm just dropping them in. They kind of flared up a little bit, and I'm dropping some more, trying not to crush them. Howard, good to see you. Martin, good to see you. Boom. I got a little dead soldier there. And, oh, Jim Turknett. Oh, I already got you. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Turknett, another culinary talent going way, way, way back. This guy was the chef at Chanterelle, Sterling Hotel, and Vizcaya all at the same time. This is one of the hardest working dudes I've ever seen in my life. This guy is the man. And he had quite a name for himself for many, many years in this town. Shout out, Jim Turknett. You are a rock star, dude. I worked for you many, many years ago at Chanterelle. And I believe I was doing your breakfast shift, your lunch shift, and I was doing your baking in the afternoon. We had that very nice, Gerald, I think it was, that young African-American gentleman who was just so great. I loved working with that dude. And I liked working with you, man. You were a good guy. Oh, yeah. That was back in the day. Hope you're well. Okay, those gnocchis. So, going back to this this grain technique, okay? As soon as the starch hits, do what I say, not what I do. You didn't see me do this, but as soon as those starchy items hit the water, you want to give it a stir. You want to be like right there with a spoon. Pasta especially. Have you ever had spaghetti where it's all tied together, you know? And so, when I was a kid, remember I was this wild feral child, right? The only thing my mom really did cook from scratch was spaghetti once in a while, right? But I was like the fifth of 5 kids, the littlest one, so everybody would eat before me, and I was the one that it's like my plate looked like I had the plate where all the spaghetti was glued together at the bottom of the pot because she wasn't stirring enough, right? So it was like this cable of spaghetti with sauce over it, right? And that's what I remember from childhood. You want to be right there with a spoon. As soon as those starches hit the water, start giving them a little stir. Don't let them settle down. Don't let them clump up and create this like giant cable of spaghetti or whatever it is, right? So my gnocchis are cruising right along. That egg is firming up in there, setting up, and pretty soon they're all floating right now. I'm going to give them about 1 more minute, and then I'm going to pull them and lay them out on a sheet tray. We're going to put a little oil on them, and they're going to hang out. sheet tray. That's a half sheet tray. Out in the kitchens, we have them double size, and that is the international pan of the kitchen. We do everything on these sheet pans. I'm going to check one of these gnocchis. Now they've increased, they've almost doubled in size, so they are monster gnocchis now. But they all have that little cup that's going to hold that sauce. And today, like I said, we're going to be browning butter. You're going to see some brown butter here in a bit. If I can get all this done in 20 minutes. Whoop! I'm going to start heating up this pan. You're going to see me start moving a little faster, okay? Firing up my other burner. I'm going to pull out these gnocchis. I'm not going to rinse them off or anything. I'm just going to lay them on this pan. I'm going to hit them with a little bit of oil so they don't stick together or anything, and also to flavor them. I'm going to hit them with a little salt too. Seasoning. Always seasoning. So there's my little irregular gnocchis. I'm going to get rid of this pasta water. I do not need it anymore. It's in my way. And if I don't need it, I'm getting rid of it. Clean as you go. So these guys right here, I don't want them to stick or anything, so I'm going to hit them with a little extra virgin. A little of this local biryani. You guys probably see them at the farmer's market. Slide them around. I'm going to hit them with a little more salt, just to let that salt kind of penetrate in a little more. You see that aerial drop? That lets the salt dissipate as it falls. That's a thing. That's not for show. And I'm just going to let these cool at room temp somewhere. I have a crappy little kitchen. So crappy. So small. But it still works. You don't need $1 million kitchen. Okay, changing pans now. I've got a few herbs to chop real quick. And we're going to start setting up our mise en place. I just finished my primary prep when I cooked off that gnocchi. Now I'm getting into my secondary prep, chopping my herbs, and I think that's about all I got to do. I got 2 herbs today. I've got sage. If you guys have ever seen this stuff before in the flesh, that's your sage leaf, okay? They're fuzzy little leaves, and they smell kind of like stovetop stuffing, okay? That's that Thanksgiving smell that you smell every year, right? Excellent on poultry, but also super, super good on pork chops, things like that, okay? So I'm going to kick that aside. I've got several sage leaves here that I took those heavy stems out of. Let me get this a little closer. You guys can kind of watch this. Whoa. I think you can kind of see that board. Maybe not. Hard for me to tell. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight across on this sage and just kind of chiffonade it. I used that term last week. And I'm just getting a little heat on my saute pan here. It takes a little time to heat those pans. So I rolled up those leaves, and I am just working my way through those sage leaves very, very fine. Like angel hair. Like fine like a baby's hair. Trying to read here. So yeah. Howard, good to see you, sir. All right, so I've got a beautiful little chiffonade there of my sage. That's going to be hitting that brown butter in a little bit. And then I've just got some whole parsley leaves right here, and you know what? I'm not going to cut these at all. I think they're beautiful like that. So I'm just going to drop them in the plate, some of them in the cooking process and some of them at the end. And you'll just get a nice little bite of parsley, like you're biting into a winter grain or something like that. Okay, so that's done. Another thing I want to do is I'm going to do a little spice blend for my duck right now, okay? So what that's going to look like is I've got a little mortar and pestle. If you don't have one of these, go buy them. They're like 10 bucks at IKEA, and you can just create love in just this little cup right here for any dinner that you're doing. They're so awesome. And if you have one of these, you're not buying your seeds in powdered form anymore. You're buying whole seeds, okay? And you crush them and they're beautifully fresh. You know, you grind a seed 6 months ago, there's not going to be much flavor in there. You're going to have to use a ton of it, okay? So those were coriander seeds. I'm throwing those in. And then what I like with those coriander